The Atlanta Braves take down the Boston Red Sox 10-4 because they brought the big bats to the yard today. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That is Jake Mastriani, host of Locked On Braves. Catch him on social media at shortstopball, as well as Monday through Friday, every single day on Locked On Braves, available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Jake, Atlanta Braves take down the Boston Red Sox 10-4. Looked a little bit iffy there at moments. Grand slam by Ralphie Devers briefly gives Boston a lead, but Atlanta just continues scoring on offense. But Schwbach rebounds to shut it down. I want to get to the pitching. Schwbach, the bullpen, right? What we saw with the bullpen today. Scott Blewett does exist. He is alive. But first, looking at this game, 16 Braves hits, 10 runs, and every single player in the lineup gets on base twice or more, and everybody but one player actually has a base hit in this game. Does it kind of finally, based on the quality of the at-bats, feels like the Braves offense may finally be hitting to their potential this year?
Certainly felt like that. I mean, this is the best offensive performance of the year. I know it's only the second time they've scored double-digit runs going back to the home opener and their first win of the year, but a little bit better opponent here. I know Brian Bayo's kind of coming back from injury, trying to work his way back, but it's not just that. I think it's overall in this series. You had a tough opponent in Crochet on Friday night, but you were still able to score, 4 runs, 7 hits. You had all those walks in the ninth inning there on Friday, and then on Saturday you had 6 runs on 13 hits, and then what you were able to do today, 10 runs, 16 hits. I mean, the offense just in general in this series, game to game, continue to look better and better. And so that's great to see for this offense.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what I'm more impressed with. Is it the fact that you got Alex Verdugo going 3 for 5 on base 4 times? Is it Matt Olson having 2 doubles? Is it Ozzie Albies kind of coming out of the slump with a big double, a run, and RBI? Or is it the fact that Michael Harris walked twice for just the 9th time in his career? It just everything felt like it worked for the Braves today.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw it the other night too, right? When Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies walked in back-to-back at bats. You don't see that very often, but just some patience. And I feel like we've seen this approach change for the Braves this year, where they're trying to not be as aggressive, and we've seen them kind of struggle with that a little bit, and maybe to the point where it took away some of their power. But this game, and I think this series in particular, you kind of saw it all come together. You saw the home runs in this series, but you also saw the walks, and you saw some of the patient at bats that they were able to have. And again, if you can combine that, it's going to be the best offense in baseball. I don't think it's crazy to say that, especially, and we've talked too about getting the heart of the order going. Riley, Ozuna, Olsen, you saw them all produce. And oh, by the way, there's a guy in AAA the Braves have right now that can't get out, named Ronald Acuna Jr., former MVP. You get the offense, clicking like this, and you add him to the top of the lineup, which Verdugo was good today, 3 hits and a walk as well. But you add Acuna to that, and this offense swinging the bats the way they did in this series. And I don't think it's crazy to say this could be, once again, one of the best offenses in baseball when you combine that power and that patient approach that we've seen from them a lot this year.
Yeah, that heart of the order, your Riley, your Olsen, your Ozuna, combined for 7 hits, 5 runs, 5 RBI. They walked twice. They only strike out 3 times. Now, I will say on those strikeouts, 2 of those were Ozuna's. He struck out looking with the bases loaded early. And I believe you had put it out on social media, again, on X at shortstopball, about how Marcel's still a little bit too passive at times. We still see him not necessarily being willing to pull the trigger on close pitches. Obviously, he makes up for that later. He gets the home run in the 8th inning off of Sean Newcomb. It ends up picking up 2 hits there, 3 RBI. I do feel like this was the best blend we've seen. There were times when a guy would be aggressive. Alex Verdugo, I'm thinking about swinging at the first pitch off of Bragan Bello a couple times. But for the most part, this was the best blend we've seen, to your point. And it happened while the bottom of the order was still getting on base, right? Eli White has 2 hits. Nick Allen has a hit and a walk. So they get 2 RBI. They have a run score. The only real thing that I think I would say about not being in, like, still be a little frustrated with the offense is I still feel like you had some situations where you had a speedy runner on first and you didn't try to put them in motion. You didn't try to get them on the move. I believe Nick Allen hit into a double play after Michael Harris walked to get on in a situation like that. And we've seen a lot of the Braves recently. They might go to a pinch runner for Marcell Ozuna late or have a speedy guy on, and they're not necessarily trying to run enough or even getting the guys in motion to prevent double play. So I'm still a little bit, I think that's an element when you get Ronald back, that aggressiveness may rub off on everybody. But other than that, really hard to kind of critique anything about this offensive performance today.
No, yeah, definitely positive, like I said, weekend series from the offense. But if there is the one thing, and I posted about this too, is that Michael Harris leads off the inning with a walk. You got Eli White and Nick Allen behind him. And I think this happened maybe in the Saturday game too. Yeah. You can't just have the guys standing there on first base. Either you try to send them, you put down a sac bunt, you do something to try to especially when you have a lead. When you got a lead of 3 runs, okay, you get caught stealing. All right, you still got a 3-run lead, but do something to press the issue to try to extend it. So, hey, maybe we don't have all these 1-run games. Maybe you don't have to use your best relievers every day. And so that's really my only complaint. And what was a great weekend by the offense is just you got those fast runners, especially at the bottom of the order. You get them on base to lead off an inning. Try to put something on, send them, try a bunt, try a hit and run, especially with guys like White and Allen that can put the bat on the ball and have some speed too. Unfortunately, Eli White did smash a ball that inning, and the first baseman made a tremendous play. A couple of good plays by Boston that robbed the Braves of even more runs. Alex Bregman had a great double play on a ball that Austin Riley hit. But yeah, bottom of the order. That's why you got those 3 guys down there to try to create something to press the issue. So again, small complaint. I guess it's a complaint that I've had a lot this season, but and what was otherwise a great weekend for the offense.
Absolutely. In just a second, I want to get to the pitching because we saw Schwbach be a little bit shaky, but stabilize and really kind of rebound after that grand slam. We'll do that next right here on the Braves Postcast. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1-ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep feeling fuller for longer. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there has never been a better time to get in on the action. Because FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game, both before tip-off and live. Player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. So if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bet. So make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So Spencer Schwbach gets the start here and has a rebound, right? He goes 7 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs. But again, all 4 of the runs come in on the Rafi Devers grand slam in the 3rd inning. But I've got 2 questions about his outing that I want to ask you. And I think the first one is we saw only 3 strikeouts. And when you dive into the numbers, Schwbach only had 5 whiffs in this game. But he also wasn't getting a ton of ground balls. He had more fly ball outs than ground ball outs. Is this, does it make sense that this would be something deliberate, pitching to weak contact so he can go deeper into games during this stretch right now? Or is this just, does it look like Schwbach's off a little bit from when he was dominant early in the season? Because I can't figure out which one it is.
Yeah, I know in spring training, he talked a lot about wanting to be more efficient, to be able to go deep into ball games. And I know that's something that he really focused on a lot. I think in this one in particular, you look at it, He gives up 4 runs. He throws 81 pitches through 7 innings.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have thrown him back out there. I think part of it is it's a guy that everybody in the league knows now he's going to be around the zone. And so I think teams are just coming up and being super aggressive against him. So he's not going to get into many situations where he can get a strikeout, because I think teams are just coming up and being ultra aggressive against him. You said just the 5 whiffs, but he got 19 called strikes and still had a CSW percentage of 30, which tells me that there's a lot of balls in play against him. And like I said, 81 pitches through 7 innings. So I think that's just part of his game. And when he's on, he's getting that weak contact. He's throwing those quality strikes and getting that weak contact.
Given the fact that by the time the 8th inning rolls around, it's a 6-run game, and and his pitch count's low, but you're back at the top of the order. If Jake Mastriani is running the Braves, do you send him back out for the 8th, knowing how the bullpen's been overused and you had multiple guys down yesterday? Or is it 6-run game? We can give it to the garbage time guys after Dylan Lee, who's already hot, goes in. We can then turn around and give it to Scott Blewett, or maybe, God forbid, Dylan Dodd, right? Like, do you put him back out there for the 8th? Because I think at that point, that pitch count, I'm okay with the idea. But at the same time, I don't know if I want him to face Devers a 3rd time, because Devers was, had already gotten him pretty well earlier in the game.
I would have ran him back out there and let him finish the game. You're that worried about bullpen. I know you got the off day tomorrow, but with the way that Snit's been so worried about overworking this bullpen, to me, you send him back out there, or you send out Scott Blewett or Dylan Lee. I wouldn't have. And I don't think you wanted to do that against the top of the order, which is probably why he went with Dylan Lee, because you got the top of the order. You don't want things to kind of, give them a chance and open up that door. So you go to Dylan Lee against the top of their order just to shut things down, and then you go to Scott Blewett. But with the way that Spencer Schwellenbach have been rolling since that 4th inning, I probably would have been okay just going back out there with him and saving the bullet for Dylan Lee there. And that I want to talk about that 4th inning, because you look at that inning and it's a hanging curveball to David Hamilton. He singles. The Rafaela at bat's the one that's frustrating, because you get 0-2 on 2 pitches out of the zone. And then this is sometimes the issue with Schwellenbach. He throws too good of a 2-strike pitch that catches the bottom of the zone for a hit. And then the Jaron Duran at bat, that 1-1 pitch, all of the baseball was in the electronic strike zone on the screen. And that really changes that at bat from 2-1 to 1 instead of 1-2. You go on and walk him, and you get the last person on earth on the plate that you wanted to plate in Rafael Devers, because he is just on another level right now. But outside of that, I mean, I thought it was a great outing from Spencer Schwellenbach, and to be able to get past that and go on and get through 7 innings, I think is a credit to him. It's a credit to the offense too, because they answer right back, tie up the game, and then have a big 5th inning to take the lead, which allows you to just stick with Schwellenbach. And like I said, I thought he was in cruise control after that. I'd have been fine pushing him 9 innings if you really wanted to.
Yeah, and if I read this right, just kind of scrolling through the box score, after that 4-run 3rd inning by Boston, Schwellenbach faces 2 batters over the minimum all the way through. So yeah, he was cruising. I get the idea of giving him a chance to go in there. I'm also assuming that Dylan Lee went into the game because he was getting hot in the top half of the inning when it was still within a safe situation, right? I'd like to assume that they didn't get him hot in a 6-run game. I think maybe the radio call had said early in the inning that Dylan Lee was up and throwing. So I'm assuming that's why.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It is kind of frustrating, though, that you end up having to go to him, and you have Dylan Dodd come up for the weekend. You don't use him. Likely he's the one going to be sent back down probably after the game today to make a roster spot for Spencer Strider on Tuesday. But either way, Braves come out of this with the win. They are now back to a game over 500, 24-23. And going into the off day now, it feels like this was kind of one, you need the break, right? 17 games in 17 days. But it feels like this series has to give the team a little bit of confidence going forward. The way, to your point, you had how the offense was able to perform against elite pitching and Garrett Crochet, perform against the bullpen, just in general, really kind of impose their will on Boston for 3 games. The fact they were able to do that really means you should have a lot of confidence going into Washington for that rematch, especially knowing Strider's going to be back. Maybe Ronald could be early in the week, could be later in the week. Everything's pointing to some point in time next week. You have to imagine this could be the start of something big for the Braves if they can continue to capitalize on this momentum.
Yeah, certainly a lot of positives to take out of this weekend. You get a series win on the road. They really struggled on the road this year.
And in day games.
Yeah, and you bounce back from blowing that game on Saturday, man. That could have been a big morale killer. And then you give up a grand slam to Robbie Devers to lose the lead on Sunday, and then you yet come back from that. So I think there's a ton of positives to take out of this series. I know the Red Sox were kind of scuffling coming in, but I think they're a good team. I think it's a good offense. Certainly, I think the pitching staff will be better than what we saw this weekend going forward. But just overall for the Braves, I mean, to be able to win a road series like that against a good team, like I said, I know they're kind of scuffling around 500 too, but that Friday night game was a playoff type atmosphere. And then on Saturday, a rough loss there. You don't have your best bullpen bullets ready to go and you blow it. And then you bounce back and get a big win on Sunday to win the series. And then you got Strider coming back, as you mentioned, Acuna coming back. This does feel like the time where the Atlanta Braves could take off.
Yeah. And credit to Lab in the comments here on YouTube. Winning the series in Boston with Crochet starting one of the 3 games is absolutely a win, right? That's one of those. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball, as we talked about on Friday. So again, Braves win 10-4 to take the series 2-1. Off day on Monday. They will travel to Boston tonight, take the off day in Washington, back in action on Tuesday. TBD. It's going to be Spencer Strider versus Mitchell Parker on Tuesday, AJ Smith-Shawver versus Trevor Williams on Wednesday, Chris Sale versus Mackenzie Gore on Thursday. That'll do it for the Braves postcast. Do us a favor. If you're listening on audio, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, leave a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live, both on Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta, to break down Tuesday's action. And then before then, to get all of the great Atlanta Braves thoughts from Jake. For Jake Mastriani, I'm Lindsey Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.